Welcome to the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Alston, and it is my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. I am so excited, yes, again, excited today to be here with another amazing speaker who you're not going to believe who's going to be on this podcast. I am so excited that he is here. You just don't know. So be sure to listen to this podcast as well as all the podcasts from all the pages that is posted on this platform. There's a lot of good information from all of these experts who are here to share their story with you, so please take advantage of this unique opportunity. Just in case you did not know, the purpose of the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast is not only to network our small businesses, but we're here to share information for the working professional. We would also like to take a moment to thank our corporate sponsors and partners, our family of authors, Butler Armstead Consulting Solutions, Human Resource Learning Center, J&F Enterprises, and Women Offering Wealth, along with many of our other business partners and sponsors who's helping to make this event a success. So today we have Samuel Tatum, who is from Radio 1 Television or Radio 1 Radio. I'm going to get it right in this podcast. And I am so excited. You can't even tell. I mean, I guess you can tell because I'm stumbling on my words. But I want to read a little bit of his bio because I really felt it was important to include Radio 1 in this podcast because we do so much and we look up to Radio 1. And so I thought it'd be a great idea to bring Sam on the podcast to talk a little bit about his background and some of the things that he is working on or what the Radio 1 platform is working on so that we can build a community here. Samuel Tatum has worked in the media sales industry for 17 years. As a graduate of Townsend University, he earned his Bachelor's of Science in Mass Communications and Marketing, and he earned a Master's in Business Administration with a specialization in International Marketing from the University of Phoenix. Woohoo, he's a fellow Phoenix. That's right. So he's also known as Tatum by many who know him, and he uses his education and experience to rise through the ranks of the broadcast industry. Samuel's career started with CBS Radio as an account executive in 2003. He joined Radio 1 at that time, for which he has held many positions such as an account executive, local sales manager, digital sales director, and so on. And today he is the director of sales and solutions for the Washington, D.C. cluster. His fulfillment in his current role comes from training and development talented industry leaders and developing socially relevant programs that impact the African American community that has led to a record-breaking success in his cluster market performance. And so with that, I want to welcome Sam to the podcast. Welcome, Samuel.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, I am so excited. I can't even get my script together.
It's so hard to sit here and listen to things about myself. It's very difficult because I'm someone who is kind of shy. I'm an introvert, which is surprising for someone who's in my field, but I'm an introvert and extrovert, what I say, on demand. So when I need to be, I know how to turn it on and turn it up. So I guess in my head, I had to turn it on and turn it up to do this podcast because you never know who's listening and when they're listening and where they're listening. But I totally believe in the platform and thank you for the opportunity and appreciate all that you're doing for our community of business leaders and entrepreneurs and those who are searching for different careers, especially our young people in different generations, because, growing up, we don't know what we don't know. We kind of are told that there's doctor, lawyer, police officer, fireman, or in this generation is rapper, basketball player, football player. But then there's all these careers that are accessible and out there that our young people don't know about. And so as part of my mission is always to take every opportunity like this to, speak to the next generation, speak to those in our community, to let them know what's available and what's out there. And if anything I can say to be of help to someone, then, God gets the glory out of that.
Absolutely. God always gets the glory. We all know that, and I'm not scared to say it, Okay, so what I want to do with this particular platform, Sam, is to just have a general and formal conversation with you about your background, what got you into journalism, radio, TV,
Mm-hmm.
internet, the whole thing. And also kind of speak to the career aspect because I think it's important that people hear more about the radio industry. We hear about all the other industries, as you said, and I think I mentioned that in another podcast, but we don't really hear much about journalism. We don't hear a lot about radio industry careers. I want you to kind of speak on that and what brought you to that platform.
So my career started as somewhat of a, and I laugh about it often. I tell people that it was somewhat of an accident. I grew up in college. I was a working college student and was in retail. I was a district sales manager for a retail chain of men's clothing. One of my professors in my radio production class said to me, you know, you have such a big personality. Have you ever considered media sales? My intention in undergrad was to be a broadcast journalist, a news anchor. And I minored in psychology because I wanted to be an on air psychologist. So before there was a Dr. Phil, there was supposed to be a Dr. Sam. And in that, I was persuaded by my professor at the time to say, have you ever considered media sales? And I thought to myself, sure, I'd love to go on HSN and be a spokesperson to sell things. And he said, no, 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 that's not media sales. And he introduced me into this world of media sales. I went through a boot camp for it. And in that, I actually fell in love with the opportunity and thought, you know, this is actually pretty cool. And as a person of color, which is a minority in this business, interviewed for a job 7 times to be a salesperson for a radio station cluster in Baltimore, Maryland.
Seven
Now,
times? It took you 7 times? And were there any particular reason why you were declined 7 different times?
surprisingly, I don't. And when I look back at it, hindsight is 2020. I did everything I could have done, but what I do know is that I interviewed 7 times, and a young Caucasian woman interviewed 1 time over the phone and got the same job that I did. So
Wow.
one can deduce what the problem was, but what I looked at it was an opportunity because I was like, if they're not going to take me, then I'm going to show them why they should take me. And I interviewed and I showed up and I did all the exercises and proposals and I convinced them to take a chance on me. And when they did, I I was a first year #1 new business development salesperson for that cluster. And the young lady that they hired over the phone, they also had to fire. So that very problem or obstacle for me taught me that I have every opportunity to prove people wrong. And when I got in the building, I realized there weren't a lot of people that looked like me. And when I would sit and talk to my boss and he would ask me, what do you want to do? And I said, in 5 years, I want your job. And he laughed at me because in his mind, he probably didn't think it was going to happen. But I worked extremely hard and I worked smart, um, and suffered some bumps and bruises. But through it all, I fell in love with creating solutions and working with business owners and treating their business like it was mine with coming up with solutions. And every time I sold something, it didn't feel like a sale. It felt more like, a partnership. I was developing new partnerships with different industries and different size businesses. And when it worked, they were excited and thankful, and I saw their business grow. And so, through that, 17, 18 years later, here I am still doing it. And every day, still feeling the same passion for creating solutions for my clients and my partners.
Okay, that is fantastic. I love the fact that you said that you want to prove them wrong. And it just goes to show you that persistence, and I'm queen of persistence, that persistence pays off. It really does. And I can tell you how many times I've taken a certification test and have failed, and went back and retook it and finally got it. We have to be persistent. And I'm glad that you actually said the words, I applied for this job 7 different times. And when I did get the job, I proved to be the person that they should have hired the first time. And we all have to
Mhm.
have that mentality. So fast forward into today, you're in it, you're doing your thing. And so let's talk about some of the things that you were able to accomplish once you were in the position and some of the things you learned too.
Um, so it's the things that you learn along the way that enrich your journey. You pick up things from different people. I will say that my journey to Radio One is one where my passion connected with my purpose. So I'm purposed in who I am. I know that God created me for a great purpose. So I have my personal goals, but my professional goals seem to have come alive when I started working at Radio One, which is now, you heard it here first, is now Urban One. We've changed our name to Urban One, and Radio One is a division of Urban One, as TV One is a division of Urban One, and Interactive One is a division of Urban One. So we are a multimedia faceted company, but I came into relationship with this company, and now I know what it is to be in the Black people business, so that the community that I not only am a part of, but that I live in, that I worship in, that my nieces and nephews are growing up in, I am helping feed that community by helping businesses grow, by changing the perceptions of what um, advertisers, businesses think of people of color. It was a shock to me to walk into some places and businesses, whether it be BMW, whether it be Lexus, whether it be Tide, whether it be McDonald's, and hear that the perception of people of color are not who we are. We are an
Hmm.
active consumer base. We are a respectable consumer base that should be given the same consideration that any other target demographic should be given. And so oftentimes I would have to go into rooms, and I felt like Reverend Al Sharpton at times, fighting the battle to say, we're worth something. Invest in our communities, invest in us, because you'll be surprised about how a lot of businesses in America, they will take the black dollar, but they will be too above it to ask for the black dollar. So they won't invest in black media, but they'll
Okay.
take the black dollar. You can buy our product, whether, and I can speak to Gucci. Gucci will say, buy our product, but I don't see Gucci advertising on any black media.
Right. And
So,
that's one of the things we used to buy years ago. And I mean, you've heard this plenty of times. Everybody's heard this 1 or 2 times on this platform that when I grew up in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, probably the late 80s, almost 90s, there was a black owner on every corner of the store. If it was hardware, gas, candy, cigarettes, you name it, it was a minority owner, even down to
yes.
the nail store, even down to the wig store. Ladies, we used to get ours from the actual minority store where they sold wigs.
Hmm.
Okay, you can't even find that. And one podcast participant in particular, Masters of the Hustle, pretty much just laid it out there and said he went into the mall one day and there was not one minority owner in the entire mall. And
And
it's
that's
bigger than that.
hurting our
Right.
communities.
And we're not putting economics into our businesses, which this is the mindset that we have to change. We're constantly putting our money everywhere else but from ourselves. We're not even doing that. And you're right. We're quick to give it out, but we're not quick to get it. And we
We're
have
not quick to get it.
right, and we have to change the mindset. So first, I love the fact that you are standing up for that and really controlling, or at least trying to help with our output of what we look like on TV and radio and in Broadway and anywhere
Hmm.
else that we are represented. Because I think for me, primarily, why I stopped watching certain black programs, because for me, it's a stand saying, I will not sit here and patron what you think we should be.
Yes.
and people say, "Oh, why you're not watching BET or some of those?" Because that is not who we are. You want us to portray that, but that's not who we
Hmm.
are in real life. And I'd rather put my energy into something that's going to represent us better than to keep giving someone my Nielsen rating for that. And a lot of people don't think that, but I want our young people to think that. Right now, this is what they feel, but we need for them to see the real deal, don't you think?
Absolutely. I say it all the time. I'm like, look, I know a lot of people, and no, I don't have the kind of, flipping tables and jumping across tables and cussing each other out and disrespecting each other and falling out with people every 6 months. And, I'm like, I don't know where these people exist because they don't exist in my world. I didn't grow up that way. I don't know these people. I don't come in contact with these people, but these are who we are portrayed to be on in mass media. So it's also in our music as well. So I firmly believe, Ann, that I fight as hard as I do to become a person, to have a seat at the table, to make the decisions that will help us better the type of things that are out there in our community. And part of that is my staff now is a diverse staff. I hire individuals of color. Now, when I came into the industry, I was one of two black people that I remember selling media. Now I have a full staff of managers that are people of color, and not just because of their color, but they're qualified. And the thing
Yes.
about it, they are qualified individuals who are talented and creating success in our industry, doing things in our industry that have never been done before. And that is what makes me proud because I have a seat at the table to make decisions to help change things. And that's what my motivation was, to fight as hard as I did when I was 20 years old getting into this industry. That was my motivation. And one of the things I know about myself, that I've learned about myself, is that I'm a futuristic person. That's one of my strengths. So I don't just think for today, I think for 10 years down the line. So 17, 18 years ago, when I got into this industry, I was thinking that one day I'm going to be in a position to help change the direction. And I'm not done yet. I always say I've just scratched the surface. If I'm grateful for the road that I've come this far, but people before me, like, and I honor my founder, Dr. Kathy Hughes, who, what it took 37 years ago to start this company. I can only imagine, as a black woman asking for financing to believe in a vision to start a company that was going to be in the black people business. I'm sure a bunch of people laughed her out of the room. And so, what I
Yeah.
know for a fact is, when you are the first to tread through deep snow, it's hard. But she stepped in the snow first. So here I am stepping in her footpath. And it's a little bit easier for me, but I'm trying to take it a little bit further. And so
Yeah.
that's what I carry every single day with me when I walk into the office as a proud person of color working for a company that targets people of color and helping small businesses, because a lot of small businesses have the myth that that radio and digital media and platforms such as mine is out of reach for them. And I say to them every day, it's not. We can help you develop solutions that are affordable, that get you the results that'll help grow your business, but in turn, you have to reinvest those profits into helping your business sustain.
And see, what, Sam, there's three, I would say maybe two or three points you just hit that I just want to summarize and take home. First of all, you pretty much said that you have a diverse office and that you sit behind a table of people who are highly qualified. This is what I am trying to get people to see, that we have to be highly qualified. We already have to be above the fray anyway. So why not prepare yourself early to be highly qualified for any kind of job that you want to get, not just in radio, TV, but any kind of job. Not wait until it's time or when you need it, but just coming in highly qualified. That's really important. And then the second thing is the fact that you are hiring other people of color, other minorities to have a cohesive, diverse group.
Mhm.
We're not doing that because part of which is that not really having the economic status that we should be having so we can hire people, our young folks, people who are highly qualified, and then also not really communicating and networking like we should. I would say in the last year, we really have been stepping out in networking, but that's because of the new presidential, whatever that's come in.
Mhm.
Now all of a sudden, now you want to stand up. But even bigger than that, just for the fact that people need to remember what our grandfathers and great grandfathers and ancestors have fought for us to even be able to do the things we're doing today. A lot of people have
Yes.
forgotten where they have came from and what it took to get to where we are. And if they can just see those three things, I'm like you, I'm just as passionate as you are right now because you're speaking my language, and I'm so glad that you're saying it because it's too many times that I'm finding that we are discriminating ourselves instead
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
just being together and working together. And I'm trying to get people to see that the time has come now for us to stop doing that, to foster our business, not just talk about it. And I was telling one person today that I'm looking to connect with businesses who are serious about making a difference, that's ready to communicate, collaborate, patron,
Mhm.
refer, grow, build, whatever. My tagline, building unified partnerships that drives results and produce growth. That's what it's about. And we can't continue to sit back and say, well, I'm not going to work with so and so because, we're in competition. There's enough work for everyone. There's enough
Yeah.
growth for everyone. And I want people to hear that really, really clearly in this podcast.
Yeah. I think I laugh because my nephew, who I love dearly, and he's my next generation. He started this initiative called Wage. We and it's we all gonna eat. And the acronym for We're All Gonna Eat. And I look at that by saying that there's enough for everyone. There's enough out here for everyone as long as we are a people. You look at, and I can talk all day, and I really can. You probably got the wrong person on this podcast. But when you look at the black,
I got the right man
when you,
on this podcast. I'm gonna tell you because we
when
have to
you,
get
when,
serious on this thing.
yeah, when you look at the black church, let's take the black church for example. Our strength is lost in the black church because we're so segregated. But you look at the Roman Catholic Church, all of the tribulations and trials and stuff that they have gone through, they stayed unified and still today can pay off all these suits and lawsuits and and whatever and still stand as one of the richest organizations in the world because they
Absolutely.
stayed unified.
Yes, and we need
when
to
when
unify.
when the Jewish community dies, they leave their money to the church. They leave it to the synagogues. But we as the black church, if we can't get along because you want us to wear black and white and I don't want to wear, I'm leaving the church and I'm going to go start my own organization and I'm going to break off half of the people and they're going to go with me. Well, that's what happens is we water down our community. And that's what's happened with so many of us because we have this mentality of not wanting to support one another and build one another, and it's hurting us as a unit. And so my mission is to try and bring that glue back, especially in our economic world. And I think, yes, I just work in media, but I say if one little waves start with one little ripple. So somebody threw a stone into the water thousands of miles away, where that very little ripple in the water turned into a tidal wave on the other side of the world somewhere. And so I believe that every stone I throw in or every net that I cast out there is going to benefit our community at large. And if
Absolutely.
everyone has that mentality, If everyone keeps that mentality, we're going to win. We're going to win. And in our business world, it's what can I do to help my brother and or my sister. So I don't think it robbery when someone who calls my office and says, I only have $500 to come up with, to spend on advertising. Well, $500 is not going to get you a lot of mass media advertising, but I don't think it robbery for me to take the time and talk to you about some ideas that you can do with that money. And when you flip that money into something bigger, think about bringing it back to the table and investing in this space, which I can help you flip it and grow into something more. So I may not be able to give you much, but I can give you my resources, my creativity. I can give you my time, which is worth something. And everybody, if all of our people, anyone listening to this podcast, and I know it sounds like scripture, but what can I render? What shall I give? What can I give to my community? What can I give to my brother and my sister that can help them grow, that will then feed this community that I live in, and it'll help feed somebody else?
Exactly. And it is definitely something that, first of all, yeah, it's definitely something that anytime you give information such as this or anything, it is always worth some type of value to you. uh, any piece of information, any podcast that you listen to, and anybody who's listening to this podcast, that's why I say go to all the pages, listen to all the podcasts. You just never know. Just because somebody's talking about a book, there could be something in that conversation that speaks to you that will help you specifically. And we're not scripting this thing. This is real talk right here with me and Sam, because it is that serious, folks. It is that serious. You just don't understand it. And if you don't understand it, you will by the time this podcast is over, because that's why this tagline is be part of the movement. Yes, I am a
Mhm.
little rock throwing it out in the ocean to start a ripple, and I'm looking for you guys to help me make a bigger wave. We're trying to make a bigger movement to build a community of resources so that we can start building that economic growth that we need in our community, specifically if we have individual talents, micro businesses, authors who's trying to sell their books. We all need to be able to survive, and we need to be unified. So, Sam, I know we are getting
Mhm.
heated up in here. I'm going to have to throw some water on you to cool you down. Okay, so what I would like to do is talk about some of the services that Radio One offers, and some of the things that you think might be helpful to either career seekers or for business owners and authors.
So let's start on the career side of it because it's so much easier. Because when I get in the business side of it, it gets a little bit, I can get wordy there. But the career side of it is there's an there's a plentiful opportunity for young people, for those who are looking for career changes, those who may have a background in marketing or public relations. You have the business side of the office, which is the side that I work on, which is sales and marketing, and that side of it is very lucrative. I've been blessed. I thank God for the living that I have. I'm someone who working in media sales and marketing allowed me to purchase my first home at 23 years old, and my second home at 27, and my third home. So these are things that are afforded to you because not just because you have a good job. It's a career choice. And so I've made bad choices, but I've made some great choices. And so that's the field that I work in. And it's an ever changing field because when I got into it, it was just radio. And now we're selling television and we're selling digital and we're selling events and content marketing. So there is a plethora of new assets and opportunities that have come. So the one thing I can say to anyone listening is don't rest. Every day you ought to be learning something. I don't think it's a waste of my time that I go back to the National Association of Broadcasting Education Fund and I take every course that I can. I sign up for scholarships and they give them to me, and I take these courses and I learn because it makes me relevant. Because the one thing I know is that the only thing consistent in life is change. And if I had stayed in the fact that all I want to do is radio, I would be an obsolete dinosaur right now. So that's the sales side in the career. Then there's programming. And so we have program directors who are responsible for the brand and what you hear, the music and the promotions and the creativity. You have the on-air talent, which a lot of people know. Those are the faces of our brand. So, the Russ Parrs, the Donnie Simpsons, the Erica Campbells, the Tom Joyners, the Steve Harveys. These are the on-air talents that are the face and the voice of what you hear, the Roland Martins and the Reverend Al Sharptons. And then you have promotions, which, are the on feet on the ground, on the feet and on the street people and personnel that really keep I'll call it the sexy in our brands and what we do. So in terms of career, there's so much to offer in this world that we live in, and that's just on the radio and digital side of things. We have online editors and digital sales managers and content generators. So much on that side. Then what we offer, we offer from small to medium to large national businesses. We offer opportunities online, on site, on air, to create solutions. We're a solution-based company, and so it's not about our products. We never walk in the door saying, here's what we have to sell. What we walk in the door doing is trying to learn more about your business, more about your challenges. We bring our industry insights and our research and our industry trends to the table, and we develop comprehensive solutions for businesses that are going to get you results. Because if your business grows, guess what happens? You then invest in our business, and our business grows. And then we can provide more opportunities for jobs for our community and hire more people, which helps our economy. So it's a reciprocal relationship. And ultimately, we as an organization are excited every time we have an opportunity to, just sit and learn. Because the more we can learn, the more we can provide solutions. So
Okay.
it really is a open door and a blank check when it comes to solutions. We don't run away from any challenge. And so, and again, no matter what size your business is, I would challenge every business owner when they're considering what can I do? Well, know your business. How many times do I walk into a business owner and I ask them insightful questions and they don't know the answer? And that's scary to me. It's so scary to me, Ann, because if anybody should know your business inside and out, it's you. So if I ask you, what is your average customer spend? What is the average customer spend in the industry that you're in? What is the average life cycle of a client? What is a client worth to you? What is the net benefit to your business for every client that comes through the door? If you don't know those things, how are you going to develop a marketing budget?
And that is so
Because
true. You got to know those numbers before you can go and present anything to anyone, period. If you don't have
period.
that information, that's part of your business plan. That's part of your marketing plan. That's part of your strategy. That's part of every little thing that has to do with your business.
Yeah.
And that is
Well,
definitely important. So before people start busting down your door trying to call you,
uh-huh.
what is the best way for them to reach your office to try to take advantage of some of the things you just talked about?
So what we're launching in the third quarter of this year is we're going to, in Washington D.C. specifically, we're going to do small business um, initiative seminars, and in those seminars, what we want to do is teach you what you need to know and developing your marketing budgets. And also in those seminars, we're going to provide you with cookie cutter solutions, and inexpensive solutions, but and leave space in them for customization. So to answer your question, what should they know? Um, as much as they can about your own business, and be as transparent about what you know and what you don't know. Because in the conversation, if you don't know, we will tell you, maybe you need to go back and find this out. And when you go back and find that out, then you come back to us with the information, and we can help you, move past that point. So it is knowing the cycle of your business, knowing who your competitors are, benchmarking the success of other people in your industry. So what are some of the best practices of other people that have, or other companies that have been successful? Or what are some of the worst practices? Because if you realize that, you know, people jumping on social media and posting XYZ is not working, then let's make sure we don't do that. So knowing the good and the bad, knowing who your competitors are, knowing what your challenges are, knowing what the cycles of business are, and the turnover and the attrition of your business is going to be, those are helpful because it helps us help you, and get to a realistic marketing budget, and understanding that the budget that you determine is an investment. It's an investment in your business and your success.
Absolutely. So, outside of that, are there any other initiatives that you are working on specifically that you want the listeners to know that you're working on that probably would need their help or their assistance?
We're always looking for partners and new innovative ways to revolutionize our industry. So if there are people or vendors that have new products that are targeted towards the African American audience, or they have a specific area of expertise that we can utilize, like we're working on events for Marriage Beyond the Vows as an event that we're working on, which is targeted towards couples who are either considering marriage, married, newly married, long-term marriage, and you may be an expert in counseling or marital relations. You may be a financial literacy expert. If you bring that to the table, we may be able to use your expertise in some of these opportunities and events that we're building. And as we're building those, what happens is we may say, hey, Ann, we know that you do this. You're our category expert in this, so we're going to ask to use your products and services at this event. So as much as possible, we like to engage anyone who's listening, to make sure that if you're targeting your business or products or services and you have a niche that you're credentialed in, let us know, because we'll put you in our database. Either we'll approach you as a client or we'll approach you as a partner. And either way, it'll help your business grow.
Okay. And so, did you want to offer any type of contact information for people to know in terms of how they can get in touch with you or the station so that they can start building these partnerships and maybe get on your partners or products list?
Sure. My office number is 301-429-4614. Again, that's 301-429-4614. I will say the best way to reach me is through email, and my email is S as in Sam, Tatum, TATUM, at radio-one.com. I'll say that again, S, T as in Tom, A, T as in Tom, U, M as in Mary, at radio-o, N as in Nancy, E.com. And you can email me, and or call me. Email, I say, is always best. And I would say using the subject line as heard on the podcast, so that I'll know that that's where you're reaching out to me from, as heard on the podcast. And I'll definitely have myself or one of my marketing specialists be in touch with you, get all of your information, and we'll open up the relationship there. But we service the country digitally. We have 56 radio stations across the country. Our digital platforms reach across the country, and as a company, we reach over 85% of the African American population in the country, and that is an amazing reach for any business to connect with. And knowing that African Americans and people of color are one of, if in my world, the top consumer group to engage in any business. Because if you're not talking to people of color, then you really don't want your business to grow.
Wow, that is
So
a fantastic ending to that. I want to just stress to everybody again that you really need to take seriously some of the things that Sam and I talked about in this podcast, and also some of the other podcasts that you're going to hear on this platform, because as I told Sam for this recording, is there is an outreach, there is a cry for our small businesses and our young people particularly to share their talents and to show our innovative skills. And we need to come together, we need to stop with all the violence, we need to come together as a people, a unified whole group of folks that will just foster each other, love each other, come together, support each other, and not just through saying it and just looking for a handout. We have to come together and really patron each other and support each other so that we can grow as a community. And so I want to thank you, Sam, for being so candid on this podcast. You got me fired up. I'm pretty sure I know a couple people that would love to listen to this thing. And again, for people listening, that he's pretty much offering you the opportunity to network with Radio One to help to build your business, as he said, to reach the 85% of our community. It is already hard enough to reach as it is. So take advantage of that. Meet with them. Find out what you need to do for your small business. When the events come out, definitely share it with me, Sam. I would love to put this on the platform so people can know when it comes out, or when there's a call for speakers, definitely let me know. I'll definitely put that on my platform, and take advantage of some of these things, because you just never know when the next opportunity is going to come for you. And so, Sam, thank you so very much for being on this podcast and sharing all this wonderful information.
thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you to all those who are listening. Information is power. That is the tagline that was started 37 years ago with Kathy Hughes for WOL, our first radio station, where information is power. And so information is power. And
Right.
every bit of information that you all are getting from this podcast, not just on this page, but on every one of the pages, use it, put it to use, because if a tree falls in the woods and no one hears it, it's no use. But
Right.
we want to make sure that the noise of our community is heard worldwide, and the groundswell, goes and is not contained. So thank you, Ann, for providing the platform, for being persistent, for being, being sacrificial in your time to do this for our community. Your efforts should be applauded.
Oh, well, you're welcome. And thank you to you, Radio One, and Dr. Kathy Hughes, for everything and all that you do.